is kind of very important. I want to talk. We're still going to go into some part of the disease concept. I have never ever been a guest speaker anywhere, or spoke at someone's birthday party, or someone asked me to share a meeting, and I did not talk about the disease of addiction. That makes sense. I have always did that for the 20 years I've been clean and sober. But first thing I want to do is, I was blessed last week. You know, my vision or my dharma. You know, I'm like an alchemist. Anybody know what an alchemist is? You do? It's a person, back especially in the olden days, that like they were known before chemistry and before science. It was the man that he almost could just take anything that was uncommon, unnatural, or simple, and make it into something very special. They would take almost any type of metal. They would take metals, and they could turn metal into what? Gold. Gold and silver. So an alchemist is a person who probably spend their lives being able to do some kind of transformation. That makes sense? I believe that God allowed me to, from my life, my experience, strength, and hope, to take a person that's a newcomer, who's been addicted to drugs and alcohol for a long period of time, teach them this book, teach them how to do the 12 steps, and transform that person into a spiritual person that's a productive member of society. That makes sense? So if I could do it, then everybody else in here could do it too. So we're all alchemists. The next thing that I'm grateful for is I had some help. I can honestly tell y'all, because when I'm doing this meeting, I can honestly tell you, if y'all don't get it, I get it. I can tell you that one. If it don't go out there and you can't grasp it, that's on you. But I can get it, because I studied and prepared myself to be able to do this. That makes sense? I didn't come in here and just coming out the top of my head. I did my research before I came through the door tonight. So, you know, I want to be able to touch alcoholics globally. I would like for this meeting and what we do to go all over the world. And that's the easy part. You can get on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and you can be global. But I really, really, really would like for, let's say, some soldiers sitting in Iraq that has a drinking problem can go on internet and get our meeting. That makes sense? The housewives that work for executives, and you know they're out there, that's too ashamed, they got too much pride to step foot in an AA meeting or NA meeting, they can get this too. That makes sense? Because we know that our program can be transported by word of mouth and the book. Because in the beginning, that's what they did. They would mail out the book, people would read the books and study like we do and become clean and sober. I have a global vision, but I also had a blockage. I had a blockage. Because I was thinking, I've been doing it for 20 years, boy, I can't wait to retire. Even though I know we have the store and we have the houses, but I'm thinking I'm going to retire. And then I had some help from some friends in here, Ron and Jet and Ken, to retire. They started telling me ain't no retirement in there. And when they was talking about it, I had this heat like a fire that would, I guess my mind didn't want to hear it. But inside, it was like a burning bush inside of me that loved it. That makes sense? It was on fire. My chest was literally on fire when they were speaking. And then I thought about it for a day or so, and I said, you know what? How can you have a vision to be global and at the same time talking about retirement? Them two don't go together. That makes sense? It don't go together. So I'm grateful that I got it right now. There is no retirement for me. I'll just be dead and gone with the message, because it's spiritual, it has no time limit. More, and take it to another level, that was the ego in me. The ego puts a time on things. If it's indefinite, infinite, which is God, my God is, there is no retirement in it. So I had to go back and get that right, and I just want to bring that to the group tonight because that's important. I'm glad I'm now past that hurdle. That makes sense. Or blockage. So that was for me. So like I told y'all, if y'all don't get it, I will. I'll never say that one again because it was blocking my growth. That makes sense? All right, we're on page 19 tonight. Just for a refresher, remember now, our main problem centers in our mind. Even though we have a physical allergy and a mental obsession, we have to always remember that if we put any alcohol whatsoever into our bodies are allergic to it. It produces a craving. We crave for more and more of it, and the craving is beyond or more powerful than our mental control. Once I put any alcohol and drugs into my body, I cannot stop the craving for more and more and more and more. Even though my mind is saying, Robert, don't do no more, I have to continue to do it because of the allergy. That makes sense? Yeah. But on the flip side, if I put no alcohol or drugs into my body whatsoever, I don't have to worry about craving. So that means my main problem centers in my mind. My mind have to be trained to recognize what the obsession is and what it's saying and what the normal thoughts are. That makes sense? For me, it's real simple now. Because an obsession in my mind was real simple. It was that thought that said, hold it, Robert. Before you go get that one, before you get ready to do all those normal stuff, just get you one. That's the only thought that I heard on a consistent basis. Every time I ever got high, I had that same thought to start me off. It didn't tell me nothing other than that. I might have had a list of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to take some money to my kids. And I was going to pay the landlord. I might want to pay this bill. Get some dry cleaners out. Go up to Kroger to get some food or something. I had a list of normal things that I was going to do. On my way to doing that stuff, the thought said, Deep. Hold it, Robert. Before you go do all that normal stuff, just get you one. That thought has never, ever changed in my mind. I would listen to that thought, believe that I'm just going to get one, and then I continue to do that stuff. That's the lie. As soon as I put that one in my body, it triggers my allergy. Once the allergy triggers, the craving starts. I start doing all that insane stuff. In the middle of 4 or 5 hours later, when I'm out there craving or geeking, my mind go back to normal and say, Robert, ain't you supposed to be taking some money to your kids? Aren't you supposed to be doing this? What about your bills that you supposed to pay? But the craving is beyond my mental condition. My mind won't stop me from craving. That makes sense? And then I go into a well-known spree, and then I'm in remorse. I can be sitting the next morning, sitting at a park bench, flat broke. Feeling sorry for myself, ashamed, full of guilt, full of shame, feeling stupid, feeling this small. And Kimberly can walk up to me and say, I got $50, you want to go? BAM! I jump up out of that depression to start it all over again. That's the cycle of addiction. The reason I say that, because it's almost impossible to read this book without knowing that. Because it's everywhere in the book. That makes sense? And we're going to see some parts of it tonight. So last week, on page 19, we talked about how we feel that the elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. Remember we talked about that?
Mm-hmm.
How people shared about how that they realize that sobriety is the beginning of recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, just don't do dope, just don't do alcohol. Well, that's the first blessing in the recovery.
Mm-hmm.
What about the million that come after that? If you stop there, you kind of cutting yourself short. That makes sense? It's a great start, but that's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more that come after that. And then we talked about how we need to expand and grow. And that's where the retirement thing came about. And right now, I want to start where it says we have concluded to publish an anonymous volume. Right there.
Okay.
Y'all see it?
We have concluded to publish an anonymous volume setting forth the problem as we see it. We shall bring to the task our combined experience and knowledge. This should suggest a useful program for anyone concerned with a drinking problem.
All right, two things I want to touch on in here. We have concluded to publish an anonymous volume. They're talking about the big book. Setting forth the problem as we see it. They're talking about the disease of addiction. You remember now when I explained to you that it's in three parts, right? Recovery. Part 1 is the problem. Then we got part 2 is the solution. And part 3 is a plan of action. So step 1 is the problem. That's like a puzzle with 3 parts. You know how the kids have, a little bitty kid, like less than 1 year or something like that, got a puzzle and it got 3 parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
3 big old things you put together.
Mm-hmm.
So part 1 or step 1 is the problem. The other part of the puzzle, step 2, is the solution. And the third part of the puzzle is step 3 through 12, which is the plan of action. So when they say setting forth the problem as we see it, right here they're talking about the disease concept. We're going to go in, we're reading there's a solution, you know what I'm trying to say? And then it's going to be into action, a program of action. All 3 parts is in the book, in the first 164 pages of the book. Then it goes on to say that we shall bring to the task our combined experience and knowledge. This should suggest a useful program. Remember, AA and NA has 2 parts to the program, to the fellowship. It's made up of 2 parts. AA is made up of 2 parts: the program and the fellowship. You got to have both. The program is the first 164 pages of the book, the 12 steps, and the fellowship is what we got here. Kind of like what a family member said last week. If you're doing the 12 steps, you will have a fellowship around you that's doing that too. If you're not doing the 12 steps and you in the fellowship, you still going to have a fellowship, but you ain't going to have no program.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one.
Okay. Of necessity, there will have to be a discussion of matters medical, psychiatric, social, and religious. We are aware that these matters are, from their very nature, controversial. Nothing would please us so much as to write a book which would contain no basis for contention or argument. We shall do our utmost to achieve that idea. Most of us sense that real tolerance for other people's shortcomings and viewpoints, and a respect for their opinions, or are attitudes which make us more useful to others. Our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depend upon our constant thought of others and how we may help meet their needs.
All right, let's talk about it for a second. Of necessity, there will have to be discussion of matters medical, psychiatric, social, and religious. In this program, we're going to have to talk about all 4 areas. We got medical problems, I already went over psychiatric help. When I told y'all about when you get a lot of time clean, seem like people who get a lot of time clean, and more people that has a lot of time can tell you, if you got over 5 years or something like that going into a lot of time, you're going to find yourself sober but stuck. You're going to be sober but stuck. It seems like you doing everything for everybody else, but your life crappy as I don't know what. And that's called Sober But Stuck. And there's a book called Sober But Stuck. I was there. And I told you before, I went over to St. Jude's. I'll make this short because it's in the tapes and I already did it before. And they told me about the position of being sober but stuck. And then I ran and got the book, and I read the book. It was about 12, 13, maybe 14 stories in it about people who had a lot of time clean and had sponsors and running the meetings and chairing and helping folk, and they crappy as I don't know what. So I read the book, and at the end of every story, every one of them people said I had to get psychiatric help. Every one of them stories ended with I needed psychiatric help. So I went and got me some psychiatric help, and it worked. I came out of that stuck position. That makes sense? Now, what about people? I'm saying it because that's a part of my experience and knowledge. What about the people that's sober but stuck now and don't even know that? Don't even know they sober but stuck. Because ain't nobody told them with 10 years clean that they sober and stuck. But their sponsor, you can tell them. I don't hear a lot of times the sponsor say, I got a sponsor, but he crazy as hell. He's sober and stuck. She's sober and stuck. I'm telling you what I know now. You want to know if you sober and stuck? Ask your sponsor. All right. Let's get to the good part. It says, nothing will please us. You know that every time we do something, no matter you talk about religions, and we already know that that's controversial. People going to argue that down. Here's the most important thing. We shall do our utmost to achieve that ideal. Most of us sense that real tolerance. That's it. Tolerance. The ability to allow people to be. Allow them to believe and think and act the way they want to. In other words, stop playing God. It says that most of us sense that real tolerance. Now, tolerance to allow people to be, the word and the concept is easy to understand in here. I know I'm saying to let people be. That's real easy. But to do it is something else. That's a hard one there. Of other people's shortcomings and viewpoints, and a respect for their opinions or attitudes which make us more useful to others. Wow. When I found if you want to be useful to someone, you're going to have to allow that person to have their own attitudes and own opinions. Now let me read that again. I see people double take back on that. Not that I just practice tolerance. I have to learn it so I can help other people. That's right. It says, most of us sense that real tolerance of other people's shortcomings and viewpoints and a respect for their opinions or attitudes would make us, me, more useful to them. Let me tell you what I have learned from my experience. Stop judging. Okay. Stop judging. One of the most beautiful things that I over my studying is that it's 7 billion people on earth. Do you know how crazy I would be if I was still judging folks? Everybody walk by me. Look what kind of shoes he got on. Look at that. That person fat. Just look at that person. I spent a lot of years judging. Never looking at myself. You know, I stand up right down, right when you go down the steps right here, and there's a little rail right there. And every morning I kind of stand over that balcony. And when we open up the store, people, it might be 20 and 30 people outside coming in the store. When we open up at 11 o'clock every morning, they run in. And I stand at the balcony. and they go up and down the step right in front of me, right, up and down that ramp. And I hear stuff like, now this is within 2 minutes. 10 people walk by me. You sure look like you tired, Rob. Somebody walk by me, you look like you real happy. So another person walk by, did you gain some weight? Another one walk by, you done lost some weight. You know, I get 10 different opinions of me in 2 minutes. You know what my conclusion is? I haven't changed in 2 minutes. That's day crap. It ain't me. It's them. There's no way I can be that transparent in 2 minutes to have all these different opinions about me. It's them. That's when I started learning. To take it a step farther, this is a hard one. If you have to defend yourself, you have no tolerance.
Okay.
Now that's spiritual. That's spiritual. If I find myself defending myself about what someone said about me or what I think about somebody, then I have no tolerance. I hear people all the time, all you got to do, I can go on the website right now and show you. Oh, Robin and his wife talking about they have an AA program, but I see him drunk every other day. That's what they say about me on the website. I can easily get on the website to defend it, right or wrong.
Right.
But why? Deep in my heart, I know I haven't had a drink in 20 years. So it don't need to be defended. But if I find myself defending stuff, then I'm not tolerant of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because one day, that person who's writing it is drunk when they're writing it.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come up here to the meeting, they're going to finally realize that man ain't had no drink. It was me.
Mm-hmm.
People, they spending the money on everything but recovery. I can defend that. Sometimes I look at the president. Lord knows he don't have no time to be trying to defend everything that come at him.
Mm-hmm.
So if you catch yourself defending something you heard or someone say something about you or somebody thinking about you, you have no tolerance. Allow them to be. Allow them to do whatever they want to do. I was talking to my wife the other night. She told me she got migraine headaches. And she does. Real bad. And, you know, I feel sorry for her. Because she's trying everything she can to get rid of. All the doctors are helping too. She called me up. She says, some lady. Now, we don't even know the lady. She comes to the store, y'all. Never spent 2 minutes with her outside the store. She coming at my wife. She says, I'm looking for a place to live. Do you know anybody that rent houses? My wife tells her no. And I know my wife is kind of like wanting to help others, right? So she said no. Then she calls me up. She says, do you know anybody that rent houses because such and such lady is looking for a house? I said, I don't know, but why are you asking that? She said, because I want to help her find a house. I was thinking about this person. I was thinking about that person. I said, don't you have migraines? Here's a real tolerance for your migraine. Allow them to find their own house. She got a husband. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She got a family. You don't have to do that work. If you know, let no mean no. That makes sense? Let no mean no right then and there, because you taking it so far that your head starts hurting. People say, well, that's not being very helpful. If I don't take care of myself, I can't be very helpful. That makes sense? To me, tolerance is to allow other people to believe and do what they're supposed to do. If you can give good guidance, then that's fine. But if you don't know the answer, then let no be no sometime. and watch the process. I found that most people, if you give out the correct information, tonight I can give out the disease concept, and I can honestly tell you, everybody not going to believe it, and everybody ain't going to go along with the program. But you just keep doing it, they will get it for themselves. And once you get it for yourself, I believe you got it. Then that's the being more useful to you, to let you get it for yourself. And if you call me and I got the answer, fine. But I don't have to go and do the research for you. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it says right here, to be useful to others. I can't give you, in recovery, I can't give you wrong information and be useful for you. It said that our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depend on our constant thought of others and how we might help meet their needs. And that's true. But you have to have the message. You have to know what you're talking about, or you will lead people astray. That makes sense? That's what I hear so much of. So much people telling people all kind of stuff that is not related to us. We are not psychiatrists in here. You know, I'm not a psychiatrist. I know people don't like to hear what I'm saying. I never went to school for psychiatric, ability to help somebody. I can carry my experience, strength, and hope. But I can't sit down in front of you, lay you on a couch, and give you an hour worth of psychiatric help. That's not who I am. I'm just a 12-step big book teacher. And I find myself very, very, very useful in that area. It's not for me to try to tell you how to be a good husband to your wife, and to this, and domestic situation. I can tell you what I did. And you really want to know the truth? I don't need to be telling you much. Don't take mine. You better go get somebody else. All right, let's keep going with that.
You may already have asked yourself, why is it that all of us become so very ill from drinking? Doubtless, you are curious to discover how and why, in the face of expert opinion to the contrary, we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you are an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may already be asking, what do I have to do?
That's the question. If you don't know what to do, you should be asking yourself, what do I have to do to get past this crap? If you have, this is what I want to talk about. Doubtless, you are curious to discover how and why, in the face of expert opinion to the contrary. There's some experts who really believe that we can never recover. I used to didn't understand what they was talking about until my daughter and her husband, till my daughter got grown and she went into the medical field. Once she went into the medical field, she married a doctor. She's an anesthesiologist, an anesthetist, right, which is a doctor herself. And so a lot of doctors be hanging around at her house, or they all to come over. We go out for different functions. I'd be around 30 or 40 doctors, and I asked them about this. They told me a lot of doctors really believe that alcoholics and addicts are doomed. I hear that all the time. And I can understand why they say that. Because if you work at an emergency room somewhere and crackhead Jack comes in there, he got a broken leg, you spend 3 hours sewing him up, getting him right, and then you give him an hour, but they don't know nothing about the disease of addiction either, the doctors. They don't know nothing about the thing. And you tell him, you're addicted to crack, don't do no more crack, I'm fixing your leg, have a happy life. Next week, he's going to jack and crack again. The other leg broke. Now, these people see thousands of people like this every week. Every week, just returning and returning and returning. That's why they think that we are doomed. And I can understand you work in that field and you're not addicted to crack and alcohol, and you keep seeing us keep coming back the same over and over and over and over. Hey, they ain't gonna never get right. And that to me that's what they think. And then it says that, but we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you are an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may already be asking, what do I have to do? To the next one.
It is the purpose of this book to answer such questions. Specifically, we shall tell you what we have done. Before going into a detailed discussion, it may be well to summarize some points as we see them. How many
Hold
times?
on. It is the purpose. What do we have to do? It's the purpose of this book. The purpose of this book is to explain to you specifically. That means 100% in detail. We're not going to leave anything out, and it's going to teach you how to stay clean and sober. Now, here's my experience. In the last, I would say I started sponsoring people out of the big book when I had, really started when I had about 2 years clean. I have sponsored at least 50 people plus through the book. Some of them sitting in here. Took them all the way through the 12 steps. And I can honestly tell you, out of all the 50 people plus that I did, only one relapsed. And that one person turned around and got right with the 9th step and been clean for years. Then I got friends. That's just my experience. I got friends that have other friends that did the same thing. And the list just keep growing, growing, and growing. This is it in detail. Alright. Then it goes on to say, do the next one.
How many times people have said to us, I can't take it, or leave it alone. Why can't he? Why don't you drink like a gentleman or quit? That fellow can't handle his liquor. Why don't you try beer and wine? Lay off the hard stuff. His willpower must be weak. He could stop if he wanted to. She's such a sweet girl. I should think he would stop for her sake. The doctor told him that if he ever drank again, it would kill him. But there he is, all lit up again.
Read the next one.
Now these commonplace observations on drinkers, which we hear all the time, back of them is a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. We see that these expressions refer to people whose reactions are very different from ours.
All right, this is deep. All right, y'all want to do this one, right? This is deep. I'm going to let the book do it, but it says, how many times have people said to us, they're talking about us who use. We're talking about our families, our employers, all the people around us. All the people around us. This is what they say to us or think about us. Y'all got that? Yeah. How many times have people said to me, Robert, this is what they say, I can take it or leave it alone. Why can't you? Why don't you drink like a gentleman or quit? That fellow can't handle his liquor. Why don't you try beer and wine? This is people talking about us. Lay out the hard stuff, Ken. Your willpower must be weak. He can stop if he wanted to. Aaron got a sweet girl. I should think he'd stop for her sake. The doctor told Carlos, you ever drink again, it's going to kill you. But there he is, all lit up. Here's the deal. That's what people say about us all the time. Y'all remember hearing that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now these are commonplace. They're common observations on drinkers, which we hear all the time. Back of these statements that they're making about us, and the people who's doing it, back of them is a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. They don't know nothing about us. Sad part about it, we don't know nothing about us either.
Right.
But they don't know nothing about us. We see that these expressions refer to people, we're talking about other people, whose reaction to drugs and alcohol are very different than ours. What they're talking about, if you got people who do not have the disease of addiction, my sister, my mother. See, when my mama go out and drink a glass of wine, there's no allergy to trigger her to crave for more of it. She can go out, have 2 glasses of wine at the table. I'm sitting with her. I'm taking her out for Mother's Day. I have 2 glasses of wine with her. See, one thing about an alcoholic, a non-alcoholic, let's talk about non-alcoholic first. They're able to start with the mind and stop with the mind. An alcoholic and an addict, we do one part of that puzzle well. We start with the mind too. But we cannot stop with the mind. That's the disease of addiction. So when my mom put that alcohol in her body, it does not trigger addiction. She don't have the disease. It don't trigger a craving that she's going to have to follow, that's going to take her to Geekville beyond her mental control. I'm sitting at the table with her. Mother's Day. She had 2 glasses of wine. I had 2 with her. Bam! Triggered the craving. She be saying normal stuff. Are you going to take me over to see your sister? She got a gift for me for Mother's Day. I don't know, ma. I don't know if I'm going to do that one. I'm going to have to get you a taxi. And do you have money for the taxi? Because the craving on ticket. Only thing on my mind is some more drugs, some more alcohol. The only thing on my mind. And then I'm going to Geekville. My mother get there, my sister probably come pick up, they do their family thing. They calling me, my cell phone off. I'm sitting in the crack house or a bar.
Yeah.
Don't you think my mother the next day gonna say stuff like, why can't he leave it alone? He's crazy. I would think he would spend Mother's Day with me. I'm his mom. But she's ignorant to the fact of the disease of addiction.
You don't know.
You know what I'm saying? What about like bosses? You go to work all week long. You get paid on Friday. And the boss tells you, say, look, we got this big project we have to do tomorrow. I need all y'all here. He look at Ron and say, Ron, you gonna make it? He already know. Ron, you please make it down. I'm begging you. I need you to drive this truck tomorrow. And what Ron's best 100%, the soul in him, everything in him said, I'm going to be there. I'm going to prove to you I'm going to be there. He really mean it. He's not saying that out of just to be vain. He really do mean that. Get off that work, and everybody done did such a good job, and we got this money-making project tomorrow, so we're going to get a bonus. Let's all go have a drink. He say, I'm going with you. He driving the company truck. Y'all already know the end of the story. But he take 1 or 2 drinks. Everybody there still there say, I'm going to take the truck back to the lot. He gone to Geekville. Next morning, the boss looking for him, don't find the truck, don't see him, nothing. Now that don't happen to me. So don't you think that the man, the boss is sitting here saying, why couldn't he just try beer? Why you had to drink that hard stuff? You know, he must be crazy. Something wrong with him. That it be even with the boss, it's still a misunderstanding and some ignorance on his part because he don't understand the disease of addiction. Now, neither they wrong, but that's what they're talking about. And the list can go on and on and on. I'm just giving a couple examples. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So it says right here that now these are commonplace observations on drinkers, which we hear all the time. Back of them is a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. We see these expressions refer to people whose reactions are very different from ours. See, the boss's and my mother's reaction to alcohol and drugs is different from mine. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to do this again, kind of like where we are right now, because most of us know about the disease of addiction now. So it says, let's go back a little bit. It says, how many times have people said to us, I can take it or leave it alone? Why can't he? Well, we know we can't take it or leave it alone no more.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even an option. I can't take nothing. Total abstinence. About as abstinent as that 2-second pause was. Can't do it. Why don't you drink like a gentleman or quit? Nope. There's no drinking, period. First of all, I never drunk like a gentleman. I was an officer in the military. Ain't he supposed to be an officer and a gentleman? I was an officer and a beast. That fellow can't handle his liquor. That's a true statement. But we know that we can't handle our liquor, so we don't put it in. Here's our big one. Why don't you try beer and wine and lay off the hard stuff? Mm-hmm. I did that for years. Mm-hmm. But I was still trying beer and wine, which is a drug. Mm-hmm. And I put it in my body, the allergy going to trigger in. And the craving's coming. His willpower must be weak. Yeah, my mind is weak. When it comes to combating alcohol, that makes sense? He could stop if he wanted to. She's such a sweet girl. In my drunken condition, I never met a sweet girl. And if she was sweet, she wasn't with me. It didn't take them long to say bye. I thought you was a nice man. The doctor told him if he ever drink again, it would kill him. Now we have experiences with that in here. So now that we do have the disease concept, if you ever had to explain this paragraph to anybody in a meeting or something like that, now you got a better understanding of it. That makes sense? All right, let's keep going.
Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have good reason for it. They can't take it or leave. They can take it or leave it alone.
Remember in Dr. Silkworth, in the he did some classifications of alcohol in the doctor's opinion. Then he said, we're going to talk about some more later. Now, there's 3 more that they're talking about. There's a moderate drinker. And we got these people in our families. All right? There's people in my family, they can take it or leave it alone. It said moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have a good reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. That means to me that they don't have the allergy. That makes sense? They drink and they leave it alone. They go all week long without drinking. Maybe go out Friday night, get a little blitz, leave it alone, and go back to normal. That's a moderate drinker. Do number 2.
Okay. Then we have a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally. It may cause him to die a few years before his time. If a sufficiently strong reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environment, or the warning of a doctor becomes operative, This man can also stop or moderate, although he may find it difficult and troublesome, and may even need medical attention.
Now I know a lot of people like this. They were hardcore with me, especially like if you know them college days and like early 20s and you know them kind of days. I had people that hit it like I did. Then they end up joining the church, getting married, getting a good job, or etc. And they would stop or cut down. They didn't end up homeless. They still raise their families. I'm old enough to see them raise their families. Kids go to college. Kids get married and live successful lives. And they've been a part of that. I had a lot of friends and family members who did it like that. They were hitting it with me. Hard. So we call those the hard drinker. All right. But the thing is, whatever crisis come into their life, whether it's good or bad, it has to become operative. They have to be able to take that thing serious and put it into operation. That makes sense? Now, I don't have stuff come in my life that were pretty good reasons to stop now. Would have made my life beautiful, but it didn't become operative. Not for me. The only thing was operative to me was to keep on drinking. Didn't mean nothing. Now they're going to talk about me.
But what about the real alcoholic? He may start off as a moderate drinker. He may or may not become a continuous hard drinker, but at some stage of his drinking career, he begins to lose all control of his liquor consumption once he starts to drink. Here is the fellow who has been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. He does observe.
No.
He does observe. Absurd. Right.
Yeah.
He does absurd, incredible, tragic things while drinking. He is a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's seldom mildly intoxicated. He is always more or less insanely drunk. His disposition while drinking resembles his normal nature, but little. He may be one of the finest fellows in the world, yet let him drink for a day, and he frequently becomes disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial. He has a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. He is often perfectly sensible and well balanced concerning everything except liquor. But in that respect, he is incredibly dishonest and selfish. He often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, and has a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, and then pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. He is the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated he ought to sleep the clock around. Yet early the next morning he searches madly for a bottle for the bottle he misplaced the night before. If he can afford it, he may have liquor concealed all over the house to be certain no one gets his entire supply away from him to throw down the waste pipe. As matters grow worse, he begins to use a combination of high-powered sedative and liquor and liquor to quiet his nerves so he can go to work. Then comes the day when he simply cannot make it and gets drunk all over again. Perhaps he goes to the doctor, who gives him morphine or some sedative with which to taper off. Then he begins to appear at hospitals and sanitariums.
All right, let's start there. I'm going to go with that. Remember I told y'all that this book is not secular. This is not a history book. You have to learn to put yourself in the book. You have to become this. So I'm going to do me. But you got to remember now, in spirituality, 1 + 1 = 1. Remember that. Jesus said it very well. I and the Father are one. So when I do this, if you think it's me, you better add it up. 1 + 1 = 1. What about the real alcoholic? Remember, every time I open up a meeting, I say I'm Robert and I'm a real alcoholic. That's where I got that from. He may start off as a moderate drinker. Well, he may or may not become a continuous hard drinker. I can honestly tell you, I kind of started off as a hard drinker. I was a little bit more drunker than most folks in my neighborhood. If we go buy some wine, and we used to drink stuff like MD 2020, and there was another one, I forgot the name. Boom Farm, Mad Dog, them were the three. I'll buy one for them and one for me. I always a little bit more intoxicated than they were. But I was always the one that had the car. But I would let other people drive my car. Because I always stayed more intoxicated than they did. He said he may or may not become a continuous hard drinker. But at some stage of his drinking career, remember I told you we have careers. If you work for the post office or a teacher or the government or some company and you work for 20 or 30 years and you retire, they consider that a career, right? So if you drink for 20 or 30 years, that's a career. So am I using career? But at some stage of his drinking career, he begins to lose all control of his liquor consumption once he starts to drink. This is the disease. Once I started to drinking, if I say when we mean lose all control of his liquor consumption means the amount that you take in. So if I say I'm going to drink 2 beers and stop, once I put the 2 beers in me, I lose control of the amount that I'm going to take. 2 beers become a case. Now I can't say I like the taste of beer because I really drink it for the effect, not for the taste. I like the taste of Diet Coke, but I am not going to sit there and drink a case of it. I like the taste of sweet tea. I ain't drinking no 3 gallons of it. But I can put away 3 gallons of liquor in anybody's day, in my day. And we're proud of it. After throwing up and all that other stuff, but I was still proud of it. Here's a fellow who has been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. He does foolish, incredible, tragic things while drinking. He is the real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, I had to look that up. That was a book by Robert Louis Stevenson. And what Dr. Jekyll, and I remember the movie, right? It says that in which the main character had 2 distinct personalities. There was one person with 2 distinct personalities, and y'all know what they were. The good one and the evil one. The evil one was brought about on by drinking a portion of special brew that he created. So as this man would create some, the evil one, when he drank the brew, the evil one come out. That was me. All the time. Alright. It says that he is seldom mildly intoxicated. He is always more or less insanely drunk. I can tell y'all, sometimes I tell people this and they don't believe it. I used to have blackouts. Well, I couldn't remember nothing. It's not a night for years. First of all, every time I breathe, like you go to the doctor, they say inhale, exhale. Every breath that came out of me had alcohol in it. For years. I never had a sober breath. For years. I drink so much that I can smell alcohol come out my pores. There's so much for the sweet girl, right? You smell that? Bye. I can smell it coming out of my pores. I'm serious. I was always drunk. Always. I used to have blackouts. And I had figured out methods to control that. Like in the military, you had to be in formation early, 6 a.m. for PT or something. And you better not be late. Yeah, 5. And I had to be, by me being an officer, I'm supposed to be there before everybody else get there. Meet and greet, I guess. So what I used to do, the night before, I would take my boots, put them by the door. I'd take my keys and water, you remember that? And put in it in a special place, like I had like a cigar box. Because I know I'd have been too many nights a morning getting up trying to find that stuff, and it was lost. I couldn't find it. So I had to start putting stuff up before I know where it was. My hat here, I had a routine where everything was. And I swear, that next morning I got up, I couldn't find the shoebox. I didn't know where my boot was. But I thought I had put them all in place. I would have blackouts. I would literally go to work. After the formation PT, I'd be so sick, I'd go in my office and lock the door and stay. I didn't come out of there till 2 o'clock. If I had paperwork, I had a system for being drunk. If I had paperwork to do, I only did it on Wednesdays. I let it pile up this high and knock it down on Wednesdays. And I was the adjutant of the brigade. I was the one when every mail that came into the high officers, my job was to edit it. Read the grammar. Circle in red what was wrong. Them people be waiting on them reports from the Washington, D.C. And I'll be drunk. He said, "Where the report?" I said, "I ain't see this, sir." I had to wait a Wednesday. "You get it Thursday." They didn't know, you know what I'm saying? I was drunk the whole time I was there. And here's the word part. They made me the brigade alcohol and drug officer. I had guys coming to me, their family messed up because they got caught, with the urine test. I would tell them, "You're not supposed to drink and drug." I read the little book. They give you a book. In the military, they give you a book with everything you're supposed to know. Am I right? I had read the book, so I knew the rules. But I was sitting there drunk as a skunk, telling them. So, that was puzzling people. People say, "How you the drug and alcohol officer? They must know you drink." I said, "No, they don't know that one yet." Alright, it says that he may be one of the finest fellas in the world, but let him drink for a day, and he frequently become disgustingly, even dangerously antisocial. It's crazy. That was me. He has a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. That was me. I would tell, "I'm going to the family reunion with you." We was talking about earlier about resentment. You know what, alcohol, we have some of resentment. Have everybody waiting on me. We going to the family reunion right before I get drunk, right before we're supposed to go, and a resentment pop up, and I slam the door on that engagement. I ain't going. Cousin Joe there. Hell with him. I wouldn't do it. Everybody look at me like crazy. "We not going?" "Yeah, y'all can go, but I'm not taking you." I did that a lot. It said that, and he said he is often perfectly sensible and well balanced concerning everything except liquor. But in that respect, he is incredibly dishonest and selfish. Remember I told y'all a price had to be paid? The reduction of self-centeredness. And I can honestly tell you, a lot of areas I was able to do. I was able to read and write. I was able to get promoted. You know what I'm trying to say? I was smart enough to let other people drive my car when I was intoxicated. I had a lot of stuff going on, but I just stayed intoxicated. He often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitude, and has a promising career ahead of him. I have never seen an alcoholic addict that did not have good traits. Get clean and sober, the hardest working people you know. All right. He uses, here's something that's real serious. This is serious stuff here. He uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself. And then pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. When we go to the family, afterward, the family for whatever it is, afterward, we're going to really discuss this. But I'm going to give you a brief description of what they're talking about. I call it the family emotional roller coaster. It's the emotional roller coaster. What it is you're an alcoholic. You go in treatment or whatever. And I see this all the time. You get back to the family. All of a sudden, he's back. You start making a little money. Start going out buying groceries, doing a little family stuff. This go for the females too, being mothers, you know what I'm trying to say? And you're getting everybody back. One time, their emotional level was down, low, depressed, because you was a using person. Then you come back and you rejoin the family start growing and you start bringing money home and stuff like that, their emotions go up. Up. We're going to Six Flags and we're going to take us a week vacation and all this, and everybody get excited and the little kids get happy and everything going good and everything. And we're going to go on Saturday morning and everybody's waiting. They can't wait. They come home and we going to mama. You don't come home. Don't relapse. What happened to their emotion? Like emotional roller coaster. Up and down. Up and down. All you guys, you dating girls, and then all of a sudden they say, don't call me no damn mo. They don't been on that emotional roller coaster. Same with you got a nice man or something like that. He said, look, lose my number. He tired of going on that emotional roller coaster with you. You can't blame them. It's you. People get sick and tired of that stuff. Then soon you get back in recovery. I want to get back with such and such. And then get a resentment because they don't want you. You took them through that senseless series of sprees. He is the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated he ought to sleep the clock around. I went to bed so, I don't know about sleeping the clock around. I can tell you one thing. I went to bed so intoxicated I had to hold on to the legs of the bed. Because it spins. The whole bed, or get on the floor. Don't get in no bed. The bed will spin on you. It goes in circles. I'm telling you what I know. I don't experience that. The whole bed spins. Am I right, y'all?
That's right.
You had to hold on to sleep. Or, I've been so intoxicated when I drive, I had to cover one eye. But if I cut two eyes, the yellow line do this. It goes like a V. So you had to do that. I done did that. I told you got to put yourself in here. Yet early the next morning he searches madly for the bottle he misplaced the night before. If he can afford it, that's always been me. He may have liquor concealed all over the house to be certain no one gets the entire supply away from him to throw down the waste pipe. I can honestly tell you, I hide liquor everywhere. Told y'all the story about in my boots and everywhere. And my family will find out a little bottle when they start getting used to it in the trunk of the car. I just go, I need to cut the grass. I did cut the grass last night. I need to cut the grass again because under the lawnmower was a pint. I washed the car till the paint fall off of it. But I always kept a pint of liquor in the trunk and in the glove compartment. You know, I had all the stuff I used to like to do that's handy because the liquor was there. They will find it though. They start pulling it out. That one for that water hole they never got. I take the water hole and lay it out and then blow the water off. All the way down till it's empty. Take the little spigot, put it back on the end, and pour liquor in it. Roll it back up and hook it up to the thing. And then at the end, when they pulled all the stuff out, I got you. I roll that thing out. There go my liquor. And it be hot and taste like rubber. But it was still alcohol. Alright. Now here's the deal. I was alcoholic. That before crack. So you already know what came next. You know what though? We always say, that when it comes to the disease of addiction, this is some serious stuff. I'm going to stop at this paragraph though. When it comes to the disease of addiction, we always want to separate it.
That's right.
But AA don't.
Teach.
It don't separate it.
Never.
It said right here. Now I just explained to you about the real alcoholic me. People looking at me like, wow, that was me though. That was really truly me. It said right here, as matters grow worse. That's a promise. That's a promise. That's a blessing for an alcoholic. You're going to get worse. There's no doubt about it that that promise will not take its place. It's going to get worse. That's a promise. He began to use a combination of high-powered sedatives and liquor, drugs and alcohol. I don't know how we always want to separate something in the fellowship when the program say we do both. Unless my eyes, a high-powered sedative ain't no aspirin. Ain't no Tylenol with codeine.
That's right.
Morphine. Then it goes down to the next one to quiet his nerve so he can go to work. Go to work on what? Some more alcohol. Then comes the day when he simply cannot, I ain't missing that, no. Simply cannot make it and get drunk all over again. Getting drunk, now you're using alcohol and drugs to get drunk. Alcohol and drugs. Perhaps he goes to a doctor who gives him, says he don't know nothing about the disease of addiction. He gonna give you some morphine and some more sedatives to taper off.
Wow.
They ain't taping me off. They got me started.
Yeah.
Then it began to appear in hospitals. He end up in there. He go to St. Jude, Step Up, Salvation Army.
Yeah, right.
What that? Gateway, VA. You know that's where he at now. This is what I don't understand. I wish that this, the fellowship got to do what they do. If something, I know Jet will probably remember. I know Kim remember. I used to teach at the AA meeting, not too far from here, and I used to talk about drugs and alcohol a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's in here. I try to stay in their flavor. But when it came, I love the expression of trying to keep people clean so much that I'm sitting in the AA meeting. But I know that 90% of the people in here were using drugs. The treatment center was cleaner. How can I just talk about alcohol and try to save lives? And then somebody, they make a simple mistake. They be a newcomer. Make a simple mistake. Talking about something. My name is they knew. They ain't got the good sharing down yet. That's the style.
Oh yeah.
That come with flavor and finesse. They don't have that. The only thing they can share about is where they at that time.
That's right.
Teach, bro.
That's all they can share about. They raise their hand. I was thinking about. Hey, check this out. I was thinking about using some dope there. You can't talk about no drugs in here. That's the older guy.
Yeah.
Don't talk about no drugs in here. This is a the man go out and get high.
That's right.
For your ignorant ass. Because you ain't study no book.
That's right.
Go to NA meeting. Newcomer. They ask them, do we have a burning desire?
They ask them. Oh.
Ask them, do we have a burning desire? I got the burning desire. I was thinking about taking a drink. You can't talk about no other drinks in here. Now why you having that damn burning desire? That ain't what this thing say. And that's not what Dr. Silkworth said. Now I highly respect tolerance. Do it your way. But in here, I'm going to do it the book way.
That's right.
That they told me at the meeting, up the street. You fired from teaching a big book up here. I said, I'm glad, because I got my own damn place anyway. I'm tired of riding. All I got to do is walk up the damn steps now. Am I right, Ken? We talked about it. We had a staff meeting. They said, bring the meeting down here. Am I right, Jay?
That's right.
I brought the meeting down here, and they meeting flopped. Everybody came down here. Now, here's the deal. The same guy, I swear, that said, you know, telling all the other people up there that he shouldn't be talking about, you know, drugs in here. The same guy, he was a lawyer, remember him? The same guy I saw a year later coming out the crack house, skint down. Your ass might have need to been talking about it. I'm serious. That's how serious this ain't. The disease of addiction don't care what you use.
That's right.
When you craving, you craving.
That's right.
It don't care. So why we gotta care? That's number ego. Ego. So I'm gonna leave you with this, and then we're gonna go on question and answer. There's a lady. It said, "This is by no means a comprehensive picture of a true alcoholic, as our behavior patterns may vary. Everybody don't drink and drug the same way. So you hear somebody going a different way than yours, and they sitting in the room, have tolerance, because it's not the same. But this description should identify him roughly. Let me give y'all a story, and then I'm gonna do Q&A. There's a lady that used to come in here years ago. She was 100% NA. 100%. And she came up here, and I said she wanted me to sponsor because every time she got a year clean, she would relapse. Right? You know how you know that pattern. Right after a year, she would relapse, and she wanted to know why she kept doing that. So she came up here, and we went in my office, and we talked. I said, look, explain to me what happens. Because this was AA. You know, we studied AA, but technically this is like a CA class. You know, they used it. So they got enough sense to do it. So she come to my office, right? And she said, every time I got a year, I relapse. I said, well, go to AA. What kind of meetings you go to? She said, only NA. I said, well, that's fine, but you still relapse. I said, well, explain to me what you do. I don't care what fellowship you in, you still got to do the program of it. Because it's still, NA got the program and the fellowship. AA got the program and the fellowship. I said, explain to me what happens around the year. This is what she told me. I get that year. And no, let me make something clear, though. She's been doing this like 6 years straight. This ain't the first year she done relapse. She done did it about 6 times. Get a year clean. She says, every time I get my year clean, around 13 months, 14 months, right after that, I think I got it going on, you know, and things be going good for me, and I can see got hope, and I can see my way up. Get a good job, get the same stuff all the time. So she's talking about blanket blessings. If you're in the fellowship, don't worry about your car. Don't worry about no apartment. You stay clean. That's called what we call blanket. Blanket. You know, everybody get that. Everybody gonna get a car. Everybody gonna get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And everybody gonna get an apartment. So you ain't nothing special. You know, them are blanket blessings. Alright. So she was saying that she get that year clean right that year. I said, well, what do you do to make you relapse? She says, I go and I always stop at a convenience store, get some gas, and I drink a beer. I said, a beer? I said, well, you told me you didn't want to go to no AA meetings. I'm not an alcoholic. I said, but let me tell you about the disease of addiction. The disease don't know that you're not an alcoholic. It knows that you put alcohol or drugs in your body and it triggers the allergy. It don't separate it. The disease don't. The ego might, but the disease don't. So once you put an alcohol in your body, it triggered the allergy. Once the allergy triggered, yes, you're going back to drugs. You need AA. I said, give AA a try for a year. Come to our book study. Let me take you through the steps. She came to the book study, and today she got like 10 years clean. It was just because she took that one pill. That one beer. That makes sense? So, suppose I would have been to say that you ain't got to worry about the beer because we don't talk about beer. But we do, because the disease of addiction don't care what you take. And that's in the book. It's all through the book. It doesn't care. That one beer triggered her to realize. So I told her, I said, I don't think you have a problem with drugs. I think you have a problem with alcohol, beer. She said, why would you say that? It's evidence in your time. If you could do a year without drugs, then another year without drugs, another year without drugs, you can't do a day without beer. Soon as you think you got to use, you grab a beer. You got a beer problem. Because first thing you pick up is not crack. Yeah. The first thing you pick up is beer. So if you stop picking up beer, you be straight. Common sense. All right, we're gonna open with Q&A.